over-render. You want to keep your stuff simple black and white so that an inker can come in there and ink this stuff fairly easy.
All right. Okay, I'm just going to
And if you do, the other thing too, I've seen some beautiful black pencil stuff that's beautiful gray. I mean, it's a photograph, but a guy's got to come in there with black ink and's got to make that either black or he's got to make it white.
You know what? Don't do this in your pencils. An inker can't read that.
Yeah, or when they come in there and it gets a little bit darker.
Yeah, just ignore that altogether, because an inker, that's really, he's going to either have to turn that into separated lines to get that graduation or overlap that like that. Don't do the gray stuff. This isn't like illustration. We got to work in terms of black and white. Okay, just going to draw a little face here.
Now, when I rough out my stuff, again, it doesn't matter, but I mean, I'm inking a lot of my stuff. I use a non-repro blue pencil. Now, people ask me why you use the blue pencil. The reason I use the blue pencil is because, as an inker, being probably one of the lazier guys in the business in some respects, if you use a non-repro blue, you don't ever have to erase the pages.
Yep.
Now, maybe you got an assistant that erases your pages or something like that. I don't know, but it's a pain in the rear, and something that can take like 20 minutes to half an hour to erase each page. And if you got 22 pages and you got a deadline, I mean, it can take you a day to erase those pages. So I just do it in non-repro blue, and I never have to erase my pages when I'm done inking them.
All right, I've almost got it. I'm just going to put his chest in here. A little bust shot here of Shaft from Youngblood. And
a Youngblood. I hear that's doing swimmingly.
Oh yeah, doing real well. So, okay, I'm gonna do this. Give the arm down in here. You know, just usually shape everything out. You know, when you're little, you go, I don't need to shape those things out. I can go straight. You know, just like my favorite artist. Use the shapes. We all started that way too. You become more comfortable with them, and in time, you know, you'll be able to fidget with them, and they'll come out looking like that arm that Todd drew or Jim drew or what have you. Okay, all right, Todd, I'm almost done. I'm giving you his little wristbands here, and he's got his fist, and he's shaking it up at you, and here's this, and here's the ribs, and here's
Now, if you were going to become a penciler, then you'd want those things to be obviously a little bit tighter.
Tight.
Like here
you can't give this to an inker. It won't look anything like this.
Oh, you give it to me.
No, I'll give it to you.
Okay, if you're going to do this chest area right here, though, then I would say you give him the shadow in here.
Go for it.
Show them there's going to be. Show them that there's going to be. Okay, well, we'll just tighten it up. I'll just tighten a little bit up on a pencil, though, because some of the guys that are just trying to break in as a penciler want to see a little bit of like exactly how tight you're going to want this. You're going to want this here tight enough so that some of the stuff is pretty much delineated, so that the inker isn't going to really have much problem. Chances of them teaming you up with the best inker in the business as a rookie is highly improbable, guys. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that there's no questions to be asked on your artwork. As somebody's been inking for a while, and I think some other inkers that have been around for a while, most guys actually, I think, like to ink on from a little bit looser stuff, and the reason is because they can throw a little bit of their flair on there. But
you want to go as tight as possible. The more leeway you give the inker, the more leeway he's going to take. I think basically.
Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink, let's say, this forearm right here. We can leave the rest of it up in here. Now, one of the things you want to do is a thick line usually will tell you that there's a little bit of weight, and a lot of thickness on the line comes in curves. Dick Giordano usually puts his heaviest thickness when he gets into a curve. Like so, here's a muscle in here, so he'll get real thick in that muscle right there, and when he's coming up underneath the side, he also gets real thick on the bottom sides of the arms. And the reason is, once you get the thickness on the bottom side of the arm, you get a nice light coming up on top of it right in here. So if I come in here and I build this up with nice black, I mean, it depends on how much mood the scene calls for or whatever else too, and exactly how tight Rob put it in there or something like that.
Okay, well also, you know what, when you're talking about light source, when you do something and you're going to consider a light source, if your light's coming over here, all your shadows are going to be cast on this side of the body. If it's over here, they're going to be cast on this side. If it's coming from below, they're all going to be cast against the edges of the body. You know, consider your light source. Just, you know, if you don't understand, put a flashlight up against your wrist or put a flashlight against your hand and see which areas become darker. That's where your light's coming from. And that's basically what Todd's doing right here.
Okay. Now we gotta. See, now some of the areas too. Now we didn't bring a brush. We should have this disc. But your big areas, Just,
knock out with
just,
the brush.
yeah, knock them out with the brush. If you got a big area, like a cloak that's that big, what we used to do is put an X in there,
Yeah,
and then we just go in there and black them out. Now, if I wanted this to be real heavily, I would have used a brush. I didn't bring a brush. I apologize. Don't use a felt tip pen because it fades. But I'd come in here like this, and then I'd also continue that into his wristband in here. And the reason I continued in there because the light source would be the same or something
You
like
want to
that.
hit me sometime?
No.
Too busy with your own work?
No, I already
Behind
think-
on your deadline.
Why do you think your cable first appearance looks so good? Okay.
Because I drew it real well?
Yep. The other thing that you want to do too is on some of these things too is like if a guy leaves it too wide open, you might want to spot a black behind him or something like that. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to tell you where Reggie Jackson lives or anything, but what you want to do is you're going to put a shadow in here. Let's say if this is where his little tit is over here, that you might want to put. That's okay. We can use that word.
You know we can.
Yeah, Stan's not here anymore. Oh, is he sleeping?
He's
oh,
still
yeah, he is.
sleeping.
Oh,
He's taking a few
he's
Z's.
snoozing. Okay, so we can put a black up in here to tell you that this arm here is now cutting in front of this body piece right in here. So now even though, let's say you have his belt up in here or whatever you've got him drawn up in here, I don't know what you're drawing, but we'll finish this up
The
here.
ribcage, buddy.
I know it's his ribcage, but he's got to have a belt in here. This is his, like he's up and adamant.
Okay.
Okay, here's his belt up in here or something like that. I don't use pencils hardly anymore. But his belt would be in here. I would make that black, and we'd use the brush that looks like a felt tip marker tonight. But we put that up in here, and we put a little bit of a shadow up in here. Did it. Keep the feathering to a little bit of a minimum, because otherwise I find what ends up happening is most guys overwork the stuff.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of hypocritical coming from somebody like me who throws in 1,000 lines, but I overkill my stuff too. You don't want to sit in there and throw in 1,000,000 lines like this, because it just gets all washed out. And plus, a lot of guys just do it for the sake of doing it too. I don't think they really know like why they're doing it. They just they never know when to stop the page. Keep it open, and a good colorist to come in there and save you. Sometimes I look at it. Sometimes I just keep doing it because I just want to see what it looks like in black and white without the color.
You kind of keep adding lines and
So now the other thing too, like if he was in this panel here, I might say, okay, if he's behind here, here's a wall. This might be a little bit of him. Here's the wall here, and this would be a shadow back in here.
which pops him out then.
So now,
That one?
yeah. So now he's coming around the corner. Let's say it was a nighttime scene or whatever. But he's coming out here, and this guy's black. I mean, sometimes they do those ones where the leg is coming out of the shadows, whatever. I mean, there's got to be somewhat of a rhyme or reason. Some guys do some great shadowing on the face and stuff like that. I don't know how to do that, so I stay away from my weaknesses.
Yeah, me too.
The other thing, too, if you're going to do a story, I see a lot of stories, when you show your stuff to editors, don't give them 20 pages. You give them 20 pages, and that's death. Take 20 pages, pull your 3 best pages out there, and pretend that the rest of them are perfect. The more pages you give the guys, the more they're going to say that you could have 18 perfect ones and 2 bad ones, and they're going to go, look at these 2 bad ones. Too bad, we can't hire you. Like I said, they don't want to hire you. You got to go in there with that attitude. So take your 3 best, make it look like. Don't let them know the other 17 sucked, and just go. The rest of them look. As a matter of fact, I even say, don't even say nothing, because I see too many kids drop their artwork in front of the editor and go, "This isn't my best stuff." But and the first question is, show me your best stuff.
And unfortunately, listen to what they have to say. They're the ones who can hire you or fire you. So if they have something to tell you, come back the next time. They want you to do a bunch of little shots. You don't like doing little shots, do little shots, get that job, do it well. Once you're in the door, you can begin experimenting. Todd and I, well, actually, Todd came out of the gate experimenting. It takes some of us a little more time. Editor builds up some trust in you, then you can go and run with it. You want to teach them a little about anatomy?
Anatomy?
Yeah, come on, you're the king.
I don't know the anatomy. You know that?
I'm not exactly an expert on this stuff. I'm known to fake it a lot.
You know what?
I should call in some help.
I heard there's some help in the building.
Is Jim and Will still around, you think?
I think so. Let's get him in there. And I love that flashy orange jersey of his.
Oh, yeah, these
Come
guys
on in
are
here.
great. Hey, what's up?
Jim and Len.
Big Jim,
And
how you
Marley.
doing?
Wilson, how's it going, bud?
Hey, what's up?
Okay, now, I don't know if you heard any of...
Piece of amateur stuff.
I don't know if you heard any of what we were saying, but we should get into some real drawing at this point. We're just going over a lot of the basics.
There we go. We got it all set up for
The
you.
anatomy. Why don't you guys give us something on like what you're thinking of in terms of like where the muscle structure is going, how and why, how it fits together. I notice a lot of guys when they put arms together, doesn't look like they're actually connected. You know what I mean? They just kind of look like they took parts and just stuck them together. So see if you can give them something here.
I think everyone uses a different way, but what I find most successful for me that has resulted in the figures looking tight and not put together from different angles is to rough something out like Rob was doing, and try. I think of like the chest as a barrel shape, and the arms as cylinders, and the head as a squat or square cylinder. And the most important shapes to me are the
Your height.
Well, I'm about to here.
Okay.
All right. Okay. The chest. Okay.
Right.
The chest shape is like this. Okay. This is nothing new. This is George Bridgman's Guide to Life Drawing.
Let me ask you a question. Do you draw the chest first, because then it's easier to attach the head afterwards?
Right. I'll start with the chest and then the pelvis. The two most important, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I got the pelvis.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because then you can connect these two like
Right.
a
You
string.
just put two lines right there, and you got your
Okay.
abdomen, and everything else comes out of here.
I'm learning.
Right.
Or Gil Kane used to do that. That he would take this and turn it one way, and then take this and turn it the other way, and he used a twine of rope in between, and then he just figured out how to.
Rather than learn every individual muscle and where it starts and where it ends up, I try to think more in terms of the overall shape of each muscle mass group. And they look more like football shapes to me. So just connect them up like that, connect that.
We could use like a live model.
And if this is the center of mass of the chest and this is the center of mass for the pelvis, the further apart they are, the more dynamic your figure is going to get. You know, Jack Kirby, I'm not telling you guys anything new.
Sure.
His chest and pelvis are so far apart, that's where he got all his energy and action coming in. So on this side we have a guy punching or something like that. We got the chest here, the pelvis here, and I'm going to do a side shot from the pelvis here. And if you look at where these lines are, it's further apart. I can even put it all the way over here. Right? The further you put them apart, the more